Forget. Okay, there we go. So let me share the screen. Okay, well, how do this button, test this button. Hello, you all came back again. For some reason, I still never understand. Did you hear me talk again? Welcome. Monopoly won the poll, so now we're all Monopoly themed this week. Or bi-week, however you want to call it. So for the 21-22 officers, these are the people who won. I will be president in 21-22, so y'all have to hear my voice for another year. That might be bad for you, but good for you. Kelly's vice president, Fabian's treasurer, Zach's secretary, Karsh is social media manager, Matt, it will still be your historian making a cool poster, and Seth is SGA rep. So I don't know where the reaction, but applaud. Applause. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So tomorrow is laser tag if you have not gotten the billion reminders that I've sent. So the waiver I was referring to maybe at the last meeting or in the chat, they have them at the door. So we're just gonna wait to fill out a waiver, basically saying if you get hurt, you can't sue them, essentially. So it's gonna be tomorrow from 6 to 8 at Andretti. I hope you all know where Andretti is at this point. Right down the road. And it'll be $16 and for unlimited 2 hours of laser tag. And whoever would like to do the rope course, if you want to, go nuts. I made the reservation basically for laser tag though, because the Andretti people are very confused half the time. They told me three different things. If anyone needs a ride, let Kelly know. It's just on the chat. Thank you, Kelly, for offering your assistance. If anyone needs a ride, get in the cold with Kelly. So we had to make teams to the right are the teams. What's going on in the chat now? Matt can also give people who need rides. So just find an Uber. Find an Uber. Colin's my Uber. That's all I want. Find yourself an Uber. So to the right is the teams, color coded pretty because I like colors. And we have 3 team names. We don't have a team name for one of the teams, but we so far got Explosive Cycle, Genesis, Positive Vorticity, and Frozen 3. Very diverse team names. And then afterwards will be Applebee's, which will be outdoor seating. I already made a reservation. Baby and Karsh, that's your all's business to figure out later. I don't care if you put the in front of it. That's not my problem. So yeah, the only team I don't have a name from is Cheryl, Sherry, and Janelle. Janelle, if you want to name your team, you can name your team right now. I think you're here. Is she?
Yes, I'm here. We should name it the DBZs.
DBZ. I mean, Cheryl and Sherry are here, but they just said they don't care. So yeah, all right, we have DBZs. Okay, cool. That'll work. Okay, thank you, Janelle, for that. All right. So next, why is this? There we go. NHC trip, the virtual trip, quote unquote. We're working on moving it to the Friday of study days because, as you know, the school's like, here you go, here's a day off on the Monday. So they're taking away the Thursday study day. So it's still to be determined until I hear back from them because I've not heard back from them as of 5 minutes ago. Joint game night. Valpo, we mentioned last time that we're doing a game night with Valpo. Mark your calendars now. It's going to be 3/26 at 6 p.m. Eastern. They're from Indiana, if you don't know who Valpo is. Games is to be determined. We don't really know what yet. Just mark your calendar. Please come so we don't look more tiny than we already are. Because if only like 3 people show up, we're going to look really tiny. It's a Friday night, so hopefully you can come. And there'll be a Zoom link soon and more information, hopefully at the next meeting. Hats. Brian's going to be working on coming up with a couple designs this weekend. If you have any ideas, let Brian know. That's his email, unless you're friends with him on Facebook and just want to message him on Facebook. But he's working on it.
They already shot down my K-hat idea.
We are not doing the K-hat idea. That's just really weird. That's dorky, but I mean, we are all dorks.
But then I could finally take the cross product.
Anybody want to take his cross product? Anybody? No? Okay, cool. Yeah, Anna's like, nope. I saw Anna's faces go, nope. Okay. I don't want to either. Anna, am I going too fast for you for minutes again? I just realized I keep forgetting I go way too fast.
It's okay. I'm a speedy typer.
Oh, good. I'm glad you are, because I sometimes go too fast. Sorry, good. If I'm ever too fast, just let me know and I'll stop.
Okay.
Cool. All right, next is cookies. The cookie thing we talked to, or Brian, correct me if I'm wrong on anything, but he talked to the bakery and they can make us weather-themed sugar cookies. We're working on picking a date now. We're debating between either a Monday or a Friday, so either start the week off with a cookie or end the week strong with a cookie. And the date just has to be 3 to 4 weeks out to tell the bakery that we're in need the cookies. And we're using the SAFC funding for that because they really want us to spend money. Seth, you can attest to that. You went to the SGA meeting. They were like, here, spend more money. More. So
Can't agree.
yeah, so they want us to spend money. So once again, I did put a slide in. If you have any ideas how to spend money, please let us know. We have money to spend. And then finally, the Panda Express fundraiser. Zach, I saw your face. I just saw Zach's face just light up when I said that.
Hey, I haven't had Panda Express in a few months. I'm deprived.
That's me too. I love Panda Express. We are shooting for middle April. It is currently in the very early planning phases. It's a national fundraiser, which is different than all the other ones we've done. Just the only catch is you have to order online or on the app and put like a code in. But like, if you have a family member in, I don't know, Georgia, and they have a Panda Express, they can go to it. That's what makes this one much more unique. And we'll get 28% of the proceeds. So there'll be more details forthcoming because we don't have the details yet. And just a random announcement, if you did not see my message, Weather Challenge City, the next city is Raleigh, North Carolina. Yay, North Carolina. And with that, that's all I have. So now for the thing that you're probably here for, that's not me talking, Devel is here somewhere, wherever he is in your matrix. So now take it away, Devel, it's all you.
Remember to unmute myself. All right, so wow, it's awesome to see all you guys. This is fantastic. Yeah, like I have a small presentation that I'll share, but before I even get to that, I just want to put it out there as it is so. It's always surreal to be on the other side of the presentation. You know, when back when I was in Florida Tech, you always see those presentations, and it's always just nice to be able to kind of give back. So this is great, and it's good to see Dr. Lazarus and Mr. Split over there. They're still as funny and as quirky as ever. So without further ado, let's see if this works for me, and I'm going to try to share my screen. And everyone's favorite words. Can you guys see this okay?
Yep.
All right, cool. So yeah, like I said, my name is DeBell Johnson, and I'm a meteorologist with the National Weather Service Weather Forecast Office in New York, New York. It's actually located in Upton, New York, which is about an hour east of the city on Long Island. So I'll show you all that throughout the presentation. So what do I do here? Well, I'm the Marine Team Lead. As you kind of can already guess, the New York City area has a lot of water. We have the Long Island Sound, plus we cover out to 40 nautical miles of ocean, and we're expected to expand that to 60 nautical miles within the next month or so. So it's a lot of water, a lot of traffic that goes through there, and I'm the one who coordinates that. We have a lot of Marine partners, the Coast Guard, those type of people we do a lot of work with. And I'll get into a little bit more detail later. I'm also the Decision Support Services Team Lead, and I'll direct you to the picture there. So Decision Support Services, that's us when we do our briefings, whenever we try to work with our partners to find out what their weather-related thresholds are, things like that. In this picture, you can see I'm there at the Suffolk County Marathon. We're at there.
Did he freeze for anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I lost Wi-Fi and I got really scared.
Well, maybe he joined
back.
Frozen 3.
Oh, did I freeze there for a little
Yeah,
bit?
you
froze.
froze. I
Oh.
thought the internet went out on campus again because it's
Oh
normal.
no. Where'd you lose me?
You were talking about the picture.
Okay. So like I said, it was at this picture is at the Suffolk County Marathon. And oh,
Did we
Did he
lose
freeze
him
again?
again?
oh no.
Okay, I thought I
Let's
was
see
going
here.
crazy.
Am I back? Oh,
Yes.
all right. Let's see. Are we working now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. We'll try to plow on through here. There's always these little technical issues. But like I said, we were supporting them. They had a couple of showers in the background there. And so one of the things we had to deal with was, answering their questions related to the showers and thunderstorms. And even at some point, they were determining whether or not they should pause the marathon. And it was just one of those moments where we had the emergency manager come up to our desk and ask us, specifically, okay, how close are these storms going to be? And that's the point. That is the decision support services point, is to answer those questions. And we were able to tell them that the storms were going to be a little bit further north. So we were able to avoid shutting down the marathon. And so we also did decision support for the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, which was another awesome event where we had to go down there. We were deployed, being able to speak with the Emergency Operations Center down there, so the police and the firefighters, and giving them what they need. For that specific day, it was wind speeds. So the wind speeds for that day were pretty high, and depending on how fast the winds are, it's correlated to how long they want the strings for the parade balloons. So again, it was one of those things where we were there, we were giving them up-to-date information, answering other questions. It was a quiet weather day, but at the same time, since the winds were blowing, they had to shorten the strings. So that was one of our key decisions that we helped them out on. And along with that, I'm also on the tropical team and the aviation team. Obviously, the tropical weather is a very very near dear to my heart. Being from New Orleans and living in Florida, we all deal with hurricanes. So that was one of the big things up here. We had Hurricane Isaias, which was a big one. And then aviation's huge up here. The New York City Airspace is one of the most active in the country. And so there's a lot of partners that we talk with that, especially with the airports, New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, LaGuardia, JFK, those are the big ones. And then there's also other side teams as well, like that I'm on, the diversity and equal opportunity inclusion team that we have. There's also Skywarn Spotter talks that I give out, and there's so much more. And I'm saying all that to say is that once you get into the weather service, it's one of those things that you're not just doing the forecast process. There's so much more that you're integrated into. And if you're interested in the weather service, just remember that once you get hired, have an idea of what you're looking for, so you can get on that team, you can be starting to do it. So that's kind of what DSS looked like before. Nowadays, it looks like this. So you guys can kind of recognize what that looks like. This is a picture from the New York City Harbor Ops meeting that was on a month or so ago. So dealing with, we have like they're implanting these new wind turbines offshore. So wave heights, dealing with things like that. What are their thresholds? What they're looking for, and all the traffic that comes out of the New York City harbor. So that's just it. It can go on and on. And it's dealing with these virtual meetings now. It's something that we all have to deal with, but it's been a very interesting and good learning experience. So hopefully my Wi-Fi holds out. So a little bit more about the New York City forecast area. So we cover southern New York, the Lower Hudson Valley, Northeast New Jersey, and Southern Connecticut. So it's like 11 counties in New York, 5 in New Jersey, and 4 in Connecticut. And one of the big things about this forecast area is that the population side is just huge. It's 18.6 million people, which coming from, I was at the Mobile office before, and they had about 300,000, which grows to close to a million, sometimes 2 million during the warmer months when people are coming down to the beach, Pensacola Beach. In the New Orleans area itself, I mean, that had about 1 million to 1.5 million people at some times. But this is literally an order of magnitude bigger than the previous offices. So that's been a huge thing. And so when we're issuing our warnings, that's one of the things we take into consideration. So this is a snow squall warning that we issued. And you see on the population size there, that's 15.8 million people under that warning. So again, it's one of those forecast challenges and new things to experience when you're in a highly dense population area. So what does a day in the life look like for a National Weather Service meteorologist? So observation collections. This picture here, this is from the December 16th snowstorm that we had. We had over a foot of snow, in just our area. And what we do when it comes to observation collection is, getting all those snowfall reports, because the media is hounding for that. It's like, how much did it snow in Syosset, New York? We got to know. So we're getting those reports. We're talking to the emergency managers. When's the snow going to stop? So things like that. Those are all when we're collecting our observations. And we're also looking at winds, looking at all the mesonets that are around. And it's one of those big things, especially during a heavy weather. We also do balloon launches. Not every office does balloon launches. So this one does one. The Mobile office didn't do one. They don't do them out of Melbourne, but they do have balloon launches out of Miami, so things like that. And we also do quality control of all the data that comes in. So I know you guys heard of QA, QC from maybe your atmospheric pollution classes and other classes. That's actually a very big process. And the way I think of it is especially when we're doing our climatology reports and things like that, you think about in 100 years from now, we want to make sure that our data is good for the student or the other meteorologist who's looking back at it, because we're frequently looking at like temperature records from like the 1920s. There's still a couple of like 1890s records that are still holding on. And so, we want to make sure that data is looking good for us. And there's also like the forecast process itself that we work on. And so this is a picture from my desk. And we rotate desks, so this is not my desk like permanently. But one of the things we do is, you see on the furthest right screen there, that's the graphical forecast editor, which some of you might have seen before if you've been to a weather service office. And that's what we use to actually make the forecast. And the rest of the screens are showing different data and model data observations that we're looking at throughout the forecast process. And like I said, there's also the DSS, which is the Decision Support Services, talking to people and finding out what they need. And then there's all sorts of other things that we do. One of my personal favorites is answering the phone you all should know that you're able to freely call the weather service. You can call them and ask them questions. And, maybe for you all, you're a different kind of breed. You could probably answer those questions yourself. But some of my favorites are just had one person call, say they were out of a canoe and they weren't sure how long it was before the storm was coming. So they wanted to try to talk with me and figure that out. Or just you get another one like just so recently, I had the medical center out of I can't remember the city, but they called and they wanted the snowfall uh, for the past couple of days, and then and kind of break. They wanted the total snowfall for the season and the snowfall events for each one of those days. So you find that out and you send that, you email them out that those type of answers. And I like to think of those as kind of real world word problems. Okay, we had a storm and back in May, how much did we get? What were the damages? Things like that that I really enjoy. And then there's also working with the New York City Office of Emergency Management. That's one of our biggest customers. They're the ones who call us the most. They're the big population center. So they have a lot of concerns. They've even themselves, they recently hired a municipal meteorologist just for themselves that we can coordinate with, and somebody who can be the wall, the go-between for us to them. Because as big as New York City is, and we love New York City, they're not our only city. Like there's Fairfield, Connecticut, or like just Suffolk County Emergency Management. All of those different constituents that we work with. Even though New York City is the biggest, they're not our only one. So it's important to work with our other local emergency managers as well. Like I said, so we do those daily briefings with them and also high impact briefings. So I've said the word briefing a bunch of times. I just thought this was a really, really good idea to tell you what some things I learned from school that have helped me tremendously. And I have to give, again, a huge shout out to Dr. Lazarus and Mrs. Split and all of Florida Tech. They really teach you the things you need to know to do well in out there in the real world. I'm very, very proud and very grateful for the things I learned because they work, and not only that, you can compete and be competitive. So just take your schooling very seriously because that stuff's awesome. So weather brief. If you guys have the opportunity, I'm not sure if you guys still do the weather briefing class. Do they still do weather briefing class?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe so. Yeah, go ahead and take that. If it's still one credit, it's worth it. I remember, being there and doing that. That was all very helpful. Dynamics and synoptics. We're just, to be frank, we're not one of those majors where you wonder, oh, am I going to use this out? No, we use that type of stuff every day. Really, when you're writing your forecast discussions or speaking with other meteorologists, not just the people in your office, but the broadcast meteorologists as well. You want to be able to speak specifically about what's happening. Like today, for our area, we have the low pressure system that's over eastern Canada, and it's pretty stable right there. We have a high coming down, so that increases the pressure gradient. So we have gusty winds coming up, and to be able to speak the lingo, know the jargon, and understand it, especially when somebody's briefing you. It's very important. Python is probably the language of choice if you're learning computer languages. I know at some point I had learned 4chan, which I don't think is in much use. It's still out there. It'll make an appearance every once in a while, but Python is probably the language of choice because everything in the weather service is written in Python. To give you an example of that, we recently changed how we do our warnings for over the marine zones. And so one of the things you can do in Python is you can just kind of group those variables together. And, it was a simple thing to go into the actual code and change, oh, if I want my Long Island Sound group to be these two zones, so if the warnings issued, use these two zones. And if the warnings issued for these two zones, call it Long Island Sound, something like that. And if the warnings issued for all these three ocean zones, call it for all the waters south of Long Island. Something like easy to kind of go in and tweak some of the code and with Python. So it's good to know that stuff. General data analysis, very important. Again, to be able to like look at all the NESONet data. If you needed to know when the peak winds were for a specific time, that's something that's very important. GIS, I'm hoping you guys are taking GIS courses. Some of you guys.
Yeah, some of us. It's not required, but there's a couple of us in it this semester.
Well, if you have the option to take it, again, highly suggest it. One of the new things that's happening for us is, and it was probably one of my first real contributions to the office here, is we're splitting our marine zone. So all those, so in order to make that map, you had to, change the points, but not just that, you had to kind of go see where we're making that zone split. And the reason for that was because the zone itself was too large. The waves actually refract into the zone from the east. And so the wave heights on the eastern part of the zone are a lot higher than they are on the western part of the zone, so much so that the forecast that we're giving out is not indicative of the actual conditions. So we were able to actually split that zone in half. And the code to do all that is all GIS and map making. So I was able to make that map, and it's going to be live at the end of the month, which is, it's, changes in the government, they don't happen often, and when they do happen, they're going to be like that for a while. So, and I can say the same thing for our offshore zones. We're increasing our 40 nautical miles to 60 nautical miles. So you can imagine a box being expanded from 40 nautical miles out to 60. All those lawn points have to be changed. They have to be verified. You have to. It's a process, but all that's done out of GIS. So again, I can't speak enough about GIS. And then general science and technical writing. We do research projects. That's one of the things that we're able to do on our professional development days. I've got one on Isaias that I'm hoping to present. I'm not sure how they're going to be doing the next AMS. So things like that. So you want to have those skills to be refined and take them seriously. So those are kind of my top 5 tools from school that if you guys can work on it, just keep at it for sure, because they're very useful. And so a little picture in the background showing from back in WVO, New Orleans, Ken Graham. Hopefully you guys get to meet him down at the Hurricane Center if you guys are going there. He's a great dude. I didn't know I could gain a new role model at post 25 years old, but he's a guy. He's a person who's outgoing and speaks. And so hopefully you guys get to meet him. He's a great person. I got to work with him over the summer, and it was a lot of fun. I was his designated slide button pusher, so that was my job. But I took that seriously. So I started kind of talking about it. So I'll talk about my career path. Like I said before, I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. Love the place. Very wet, lots of rain. Musical city, lots of great food there. My dad is a civil engineer. He also did electrical engineering and things like that. My mom was a geologist in natural environmental sciences. So I grew up in a very, very science heavy household. Like Animal Planet and Discovery Channel were like my jam growing up. And not only that, my dad was a fisherman. So we went out on his boat all the time. So we always would, being a kid, he'd check the National Weather Service forecast, and I'd hear it in the background, but I never really absorbed it. Well, tell you, it definitely opens your eyes when you have something like Hurricane Katrina roll through your city. You really wake up to the weather. And we had hurricanes before. I can't remember all their names, but with Hurricane Katrina, that was definitely a big one. Absolutely devastating for the city. I myself had to move out to Oakland, stay with my aunt there. Our house, thank goodness, it was a two-story house. So our entire first floor was flooded, but the second floor was okay. And just to give you an idea, the storm happened in August. We didn't get power back until March the following year. So I was gone for that entire semester and came back after the new year. And it was just a daily thing to do, to just start the generator and just go about life. That was just how it is for a while there. But again, that kind of influenced me towards meteorology. Actually, one of the things that really set me down was at night, all the lights were off, all the street lights weren't working. So you could see so many stars. So that actually inspired me to be an astronomy astrophysics major when I first came in to Florida Tech. So I was an astronomy astrophysics major. And but I'd always had this background noise of meteorology. Had an awesome stats teacher in high school. You can already kind of tell, an ex-Air Force meteorologist, there's so many Air Force meteorologists out there, you would be surprised. That's another thing that I had no idea. You start looking for them, they're everywhere. So I had him as a great stats teacher. Statistics, another big thing you'll need in meteorology. I can go into detail about that if you have any further questions. But like I said, when I got to Florida Tech, astronomy astrophysics was fantastic. I loved it, but it was too slow. Those time scales are literally astronomical. And so I wanted something fast paced. And something there I could help people. My thought, I've always wanted to help people with science. That's been a goal of mine from a very young age. And meteorology was the way to do that. So when I made the switch, Dr. Lazarus was super helpful with that, Mr. Split as well. I remember him walking me through that whole process of my sophomore year, and I haven't looked back since. It's been great. So speaking of Mr. Split, I was a Met Lab assistant for a while with another senior, Liz. She's actually got her PhD out of OU, which that's awesome for her. And then I volunteered at the Melbourne forecast office. I don't mean to throw a wrench out there, but you guys should be fighting for that volunteering spots. If they have them, if they're virtual, or if you can get out there, if they can get you, not just the volunteering. If they do the pathways internships there too, all that type of stuff, shadowing, put all that on your resume. That all is very important. But I know I volunteered there, and hopefully they're transitioning to the summer interns too. So that might also be a thing where those are paid opportunities. But like I said, volunteered there my junior year. In the summers, I'd volunteer at the New Orleans office when I'd go back home. And eventually when the Pathways internship opened up my grad school year, I was fortunate enough to get that. That's very competitive. Not everyone can get it, but if you have the opportunity, go for it. The one thing I tell everybody, do not tell yourself no. There will be a lot of people in your life that will tell you no, that you can't do it. You don't need to tell it to yourself, for sure. So always kind of go for those opportunities. And so, like I said, I got that Pathways internship in New Orleans. That's where I met Ken Graham, and there's another MIC out of San Diego, Matt Moreland. He was a great person. We did all these damage surveys, speaking opportunities all around South Louisiana. So speaking of damage surveys, you can see that was the picture that I took from the EF3 in Convent, Louisiana. Unfortunately, and don't take this and run with it, it was an EF3 tornado that went through a trailer park. A whole bunch of mobile homes were absolutely decimated, destroyed. There's one thing to see pictures, to walk through that damage was eye-opening, to say the least. We actually had to sit with the governor of Louisiana, Governor Edwards, and Ken had to give him a briefing plus media briefing. So it was a very intense experience, but it was one that I'll remember for the rest of my life. So if you guys get those opportunities, take them for sure. And then when I got my full-time job with Mobile as a meteorologist, had those opportunities too to go on damage surveys. I don't know if you guys do like mock media training, but you should. I think would be beneficial because the media is out there chasing you as you're doing the survey and they're asking you questions, and so it's a pretty fun experience, and so that's something you want to think about as well. A lot of tropical experience down there. They had both Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey was of course, it was more of a Texas thing, but people didn't really realize that the outer bands were going through southern Alabama. We actually had a fair amount of tornadoes from there. And also Michael, which was a huge one that hit Panama City. It's another one affected our eastern waters. The list goes on and on. So it was a good opportunity there. And then, so the big one was the applying out. Once I was there for a year and a half, started applying out. I applied to the office in Houston. I got an interview, didn't get it. Applied to the Atlanta office, got an interview, did really well, I thought, didn't quite get it. Also did the Philadelphia office and the Boston office, got interviews there. It just didn't work out. It's so funny. Actually, the people who got hired, I know them. And it's like when you see those names, you're, oh, that's a great pick. I would have picked them. But yeah, I was able to get, then I applied for the New York City office, was able to use my, oceanography experience with all the marine waters and my own experience being down there, visiting back and forth. And, I was able to nail the interview. So if you guys do some mock interview practice, it's also a very big thing. And that was my journey. And it's pretty traditional, to kind of go volunteering to interning to full time, and sometimes that's rare nowadays. But don't let just that's not the way. It makes me hopeful. There's so many different opportunities out there. You can have NOAA Corps. You can go into broadcast if you want, but there's also research opportunities with other schools. There's also consulting meteorologists who, for insurance purposes, I've met and I've interviewed for. And those are things those are all opportunities. There's a lot of stuff out there. And so just wanted to leave you with that. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities with meteorology, even though it's a very competitive industry. And that kind of concludes my quick presentation. It's great to see all you guys. And like I said, I'm a very accessible person. You can reach out to me on social media. Speaking of social media, make sure you keep that clean because people who hire, they are definitely looking. And like I said, I'm very reachable. You can email me. There's my email below. And if you have any questions, I love questions. If you feel, I know in group settings, some people don't like to ask questions. If you want to talk one-on-one, I'm up for that too. With that, I thank you guys for having me and open the floor for questions. Is it me that's answering? Hold on, let me switch this out. Stop the share. Yeah, sure. So does anyone have any quick questions? I'll go with Dr. Mrs. Split. Like, so you got one?
Yeah, Jabal, so you're an aviation focal point, or what do they call them now?
I'm on the aviation team.
Okay, so could you tell us about your interactions with the CWSU? How do you differentiate? How do you interact?
Yeah, totally. So with the CWSUs, they're the ones who kind of guide the planes after they take off. We deal with pretty much the 5 to 10 nautical miles around the airports, and what we do is we in effect we chat with them online. We have an internal chat that we use to talk, and what we do daily on a daily basis is we send out our TAFs. So TAF writing, very useful skill. Hope you guys are learning it. And if they see something that they don't agree with, they'll call us. And one of the big things too is that our airspace is so active that the towers will call us too. So we're talking with them. But the CWSU, what they're mainly doing is they're briefing the air traffic controllers and talking with them about the daily weather impacts. And yeah, so it's very interesting. If you guys are interested more into the aviation weather forecasting aspect, that's a sector that you can just dive right into with the Weather Service as well. Yeah.
Very interesting, Mr. Split.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I guess Kelly.
Yeah, so you mentioned Python and data analysis a lot. So I was wondering did you take Python here at Florida Tech, or do you have any like tips or like how to work on that or get better, or what to do to use it later in your career?
Oh, definitely. So I didn't take I yeah no I don't think I took a Python class at Florida Tech. It was a language that was still kind of up and coming it wasn't that long ago. Let me not date myself. But at the time, but once you learn any computer language, all you learn logic, all you're learning later after that is syntax. Like, I mean, I was able to teach myself, you know, Python, JavaScript, Java, the C++, R, all those that you can learn. But with Python specifically, the best thing to do is you can really just find it on YouTube. If you can get yourself Anaconda, you guys know Anaconda, right? That you can install that onto your computer and follow along with a whole bunch of tutorials that way, and then give yourself little pet projects. Like just recently, we had to do and this is kind of funny. I had to do a buoy climatology thing where you're looking at all the winds and wave height data to see how often we hit small craft advisory criteria out the ocean. So I had this whole plan to code that up in Python, and then I got like halfway through, and then I found out that the site itself does that for you. So I was like, oh, well, but you know what? I did it anyway. I finished and compared my numbers, and thank goodness they were the same. So that was a fun thing. You can give yourself projects like that. But really, the tutorials themselves help a lot. And if you can get your hands, like I said, if you can get into an office and let them look at ask for localization, it's one of the tabs that you can look at. You can literally see the Python code that runs the software, which is pretty neat. So like I said, long story short is YouTube and pet projects are the best way you can do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Develop, does the Weather Service pay for ArcGIS, or are you using other GIS at the Weather Service?
Yeah, at the office, they have ArcGIS, but me personally, I have QGIS. All of it works the same. That's the one that I use on my own laptop. It's always kind of funny to, you feel kind of weird, using your own laptop for, quote unquote government work, but you port the files over, it works just fine. You make sure everything's connecting okay. And yeah, but with GIS, just to talk more about that, we have our sister offices, Philadelphia, and we have Boston on the other side. So we literally had to coordinate on those points, those lat long locations. And not only that, like the way the zone comes out, it like splits one of our zones kind of in half. So we had to kind of haggle over where the line goes and then eventually make sure that our shape files matched up. And then we ported it up to the national folks, and that's, like I said, that's going to go live. And it's a cool thing. You'll see if you look at any of the other offices. Yeah, you'll see the marine zones change a little bit. Hope that I.
So Devel, I have a bad pun for you. With the marine zones, do you use a ship shape file?
Yep. Did I freeze on? I think I froze. What was your question?
Oh.
Just you should stay frozen. Stay frozen. You don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, the ship a shape file.
That's it.
The ship shape file.
That's it.
I'm sad that I actually understand that joke now. After having half this class done, I actually understand that now.
Yeah. So any other questions?
I'll do it since everybody's so shy right now.
Hey, sir,
you guys discuss like what your nightmare weather scenario is for New York City.
Oof. Gosh, there's so many. That this is a little bit of inside baseball, but man, and rightfully so, the New York City Office of Emergency Management, they are afraid of everything. So if it snows one flake down there, they have to spend like $7 million just to put the salt down on the room, and they are like it is actually quite serious. So we'll put that to the side, but like a nightmare scenario for them. Whew, it was pretty close. If you have anywhere over 4 inches of snow at rush hour that's not planned for, that would shut the city down. Another one, coastal flooding at Battery Park. That's another big one. That's it. Oh, just to go into tides. Hopefully you guys are taking oceanography classes, because that helped me a lot. You can tell by my career path that I've stayed along the coast. A personal preference of mine. I love the water. But yeah, tides. That's a thing. It's not so much in Florida, but up here for sure, 3 feet of additional tide on top of like a 2 to 3 foot surge from a storm. That could be 6 feet of water potentially on over normally dry ground, which I'm 6 feet, so that's a lot of water. So things like that are actually a big deal up there. I could go on and on nightmare scenarios. Like, they really scare us up here. Like, there's a lot of people. I froze again, so. All right, it came back. Did somebody ask a question?
So I had a quick question for you about if you had a chance to redo something in a forecast situation, right, that, you know, you have an example of where, you know, it's never black and white, right? There's some tough decisions, right? And, you know, not only is it a problem when you miss a 4-inch snowfall, but it's a very expensive effort for a city to prepare its equipment for deployment when there is none. When it's a below pass that way. So, has there ever been a situation where you might have made a different decision?
Yeah, there's I can think of two right off the top of my head. The first one was, I would definitely say, when we had our like severe weather. So there was a storm again, and you're never gonna have perfect data, but there was a storm that was a little bit further off to the north, and you know how the radar is, it'll skip a little bit over the top, so you're only seeing like the mesocyclone of the severe storm. So there's a severe tag on it, and you're never really sure if it was a tornado or not. And sometimes maybe you want to err on the side of caution and issue the warning for it there. So when you're working the radar desk, that's another thing. You have radar operators who are looking at the radar and issuing the warnings. So long story short, that storm did produce damage. And again, we'll never know if it was tornado damage or not. The indicators were showing that it could have been a tornado, but we kept it as I kept it as a severe thunderstorm warning. And again, it was one of those, when you look back at it, maybe there was a little bit more tightening. You don't see any TDS signals or anything like that. TDS, the tornadic degree signature. You saw the latest thing that you'll hear a lot is called a lightning jump, right? Have you guys heard that phrase before? If not, you should look it up. We have the ability to see how much lightning a storm is producing. So if you're having a lot of lightning, that signifies a strong updraft, which could again show tornado. So long story short, we weren't able to confirm tornado damage, but still, for me, looking back at one of those, that storm, I probably still would have I should have issued a tornado warning on it rather than a severe, even though you can't tell the difference with the damage unless the storm has a significant path link and things like that. So that's one. Another time were heat advisories. It does get hot up here for sure. And heat advisories, they are very important up here because, again, they open up cooling centers. They have to have extra staffing over the weekend for ambulances. There's a pretty sizable homeless population. So things like all those human factors get involved. And so, it was one of those, it was a weekend where we had a heat advisory out for, like, say that Sunday and that Monday, but we probably should have had it out for the Saturday as well. But you're making this decision on Thursday, looking forward in time, because again, they have to have these things moved out before that Friday, before everyone goes home for the weekend, to make those decisions and things like that. So Saturday comes along, and of course we reach heat advisory criteria, which I think was like 95 degrees heat index 95 degrees. So don't complain. I know it's still pretty hot up here. And so, that was a quote unquote missed event where we should have had it probably the day before. And, things like that happen. We work with an inexact science, probabilities, communication thresholds, things like that have to be communicated. So, so those were two examples, and I could go on and on about them. I don't have too many, but I could go on and on. Cool. So, yeah, like I said, if you guys wanted to reach out to me online, my email is out there. I'll send it to Cassie. She can maybe send it out to more people. You can always look me up online as well. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, things like that. So feel free to send me an email. I'll look at your resume if you need it, things like that. Because really this is the one thing, if I can tell you one thing, is you have to be proactive. There are I know I said before that there are a lot of opportunities, but there are also a lot of meteorology students. So you got to be proactive if you really want those high quality jobs. Like I said, I really enjoy what I do, and it's been a great time, great learning experience. And like I said, it goes by quick. It goes by quick, y'all. You have no idea. One day you'll be the person presenting to the next AMS chapter. So with that, I think that's it.
Any last minute questions before we end? Good. There's applause. Yeah.
Oh, we got two. I'll go with, I think I saw Seth's hand first. Sorry, Kelly.
No, these are all applause. Everyone's
they're
applauding
applause. Oh, these are applause. Oh, I get applause? That happens?
you. Yeah, you got like 6 of them. And you got Slyn actually doing a real applause.
It's great. Thank
Colin,
you.
do you have a question? You just unmuted yourself.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, since you have a fair amount of tropical experience,
I'm sorry, wait, hold on. You're a little low. What were you saying?
since you also have had a lot of tropical experience, I was gonna ask you about the your experiences with tropical surge and the extra tropical storms coming up, giving you guys issues.
Yeah. I mean, that's another big thing is these coastal lows that we have, they really kick up the wave heights, and really we don't get as much calls from our offshore partners, but we have beaches, so rip currents is another big issue up here. And so when it comes to those tropical transitioning to extratropical cyclones, sometimes it doesn't matter as much. The wind field expands, yes, but at the same time, wind is wind damage and rain is, you get flooding. So a lot of that time it's more just a name change rather than an impact change. But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and then how about with the more of the winter storms?
Oh, winter, yeah, same deal. It's kind of interesting to see all the different ways to get snow up here. You can have, you said, those extratropical cyclones moving just off to the east of Long Island, and you get the occlusion coming around, and then the moisture falling through that already cold air. So you get snow. That's how we get like some of our heavy snow impacts. Another big thing up here is frontogenesis banding. That's another, if you can look that up and read about that, the upper level divergence, and you get this as the system itself bends around, and you get the warm front increasing that temperature gradient, you get upward lift, and that can cause banding features within the system that really drop, like the 2-inch per hour snow rates. So frontogenesis banding, it's a big one. If you can pull that one out in an interview, that's bonus points for sure. Like I said, the list goes on and on. We also get the typical. I'm blanking on it, but when you have just a trough, like a post-frontal trough that's bringing Gulf moisture up through the area, that's another way we can get snow. But there's tons of different ways. Is that Seth with a question, or is that more applause? I'll take both.
That's a question this time.
Yeah, sure.
So how is it forecasting nor'easters?
That was one thing. Yeah, let me talk about that. I was a little nervous about that because coming in from the south, you don't really get nor'easters in the same way. But the good thing was, the physics works the same. These are still baroclinic systems. There's still, these rapidly deepening pressure systems. I mean, I personally try to avoid the word bombing out, but yes, bombogenesis. Yeah, that's
Yes.
if you don't want to say that word in a media interview, that's for sure. But the physics works the same. So your dynamics classes, synoptics classes, you know, that's really helpful. But long story short, where that comes into play is the winds. We get some high winds up here. We're talking sustained 50, gust up to 70. So not quite hurricane force, but high wind warnings are a big thing up here with those nor'easters. Haven't had a technical blizzard yet. Blizzards are 35 mile an hour plus falling snow, and visibility is less than a quarter mile. So we haven't see how there's like thresholds.
Yeah, I understand.
We haven't had a technical. I haven't had a technical blizzard yet, but
Yes.
man, driving through that snow feels like a blizzard for sure, especially for someone like me.
Any more questions? Are we good to end this? I'll get his email and I can I'll send his email out when I send the recording of this video out to everyone. Okay, cool then.
Cool,
Thank you,
guys. Thank you
Devel.
guys for
Thanks for
having me.
coming. We appreciate it. It's a lot of insight and we appreciate your insight.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll give actual applause versus the emoji. Yeah, actual applause. All right. See y'all tomorrow at laser tag and meeting in 2 weeks again. And Python course with Colin a week from today. Another
Super
installment
useful.
of Colin rambling about a snake.
Again, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I don't know why people want me to do this so much.
Okay, bye everyone.
Substack is your friend.
That's true. Bye guys.
Bye. Have a good evening. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You too.
Thanks.